Welcome to another video, guys. So today I'm going to take you through a pull session. So obviously you've seen that I've got the session planned out, had my pre-workout, everything's ready. Just walk into the car now to go and get Tim, and then we're going to go and see how we get on with pull. So Reece is back from holiday, as you'll have seen in the last video, so there'll be 3 of us today, but should be a good session. I'll do a walkthrough, take you through how things go. Currently where I'm at, you know, it's primary goal is obviously still to continue to progress in the gym. Like, you know, I never go into a session not aiming for that, but it's becoming harder and harder as you dig further and further into the diet and into leaner body fat percentages and lower body weights. But we should be okay today to still progress the majority of moves. Hopefully the RDL goes well, and yeah, we'll see how I get on. Some nice new additions to Tim's flat here. So guys, I'm going to talk you through the full pull session. So we're starting off with the hammer strength ISO row. So as you'll see, I'm stood up rather than sat on the seat. So I'm stood up using the row, just because what we're trying to do is we're trying to match the strength profile of the machine with the resistance profile of the lat. So by standing up, it comes past that axis of rotation and the load drops off quite a lot as we get the lat short, which is perfect because we lose a bit of strength. Our sort of strength diminishes as we get that lat shorter and shorter throughout the set. So it's a great idea to stand up and push back on the pad. So if this is a piece of kit you've got in your gym, then definitely try it standing up. Probably just get someone to spot you on the first rep, because it's quite hard to get into that position, and just make sure that your stance is spot on. Again, use the wraps on any pull movement. Make sure you're using wraps like I spoke about in my other videos. So just 2 sets here, so a set of 8 to 10 and a set of 12 to 15. With it being such a sort of isolated movement, we don't really want to be doing any real low rep range work. So that's the first exercise. Really good start off on that, and like I say, make the most of getting the lat short whilst it's fresh. And then we go on to a barbell RDL. So this could be any hinge variation. For me, at the minute, the RDL is working pretty well. I'm maintaining my numbers as best as I possibly can, really, at the minute. Being the weight I'm at and the body fat I'm at and the body weight I'm at is hard to keep progressing at the rate that I could have done prior to, you know, when I was 30 odd pounds heavier. But it's not too bad at the minute with the RDL. Kind of depends on the day. Some days I just feel like I can lock my upper back in, and some days I can't. As you can see on these, especially towards the end of the set, my upper back is really struggling to stay tight. Lower back wise, I know I'm in a safe position. I've done RDLs and hinges that many times that I know how far I can take it. So, you know, I'm not saying that my last few reps on these sets are exemplary in any way, but I know my limit and how safe I am on these reps, and how to, you know, when to stop and when to see if there's one more. So yeah, RDLs, we've done 2 sets there. So a top set, again, for me, I have a top set of 8 to 10. This is because I'm not that great at hinging, and I need to stay in a higher rep range to stay safe and to keep my execution as best as possible. I wouldn't want to be doing a set of 5, 6 on an RDL, because it would just break me in half. So I'll do a set of 8 to 10 and then a set of, like, ideally 11 to 14. Taking it too high and CV wise, I just blow in the whole way through. So yeah, if you struggle with hinging and struggle to sort of keep your form, and you're still learning how to hinge properly, then go for 2 higher rep sets. Don't feel like you have to do a set of 6 just because people say 5 to 9 on their top set of an RDL. Just because they say that doesn't mean you have to. You know, Reece and Tim both did like a set of 5 for their first set, but for me, I know that it's just not worth doing. So you know, make sure that you're tailoring your programming to you, and you're not just trying to do what other people are doing because you want to lift a heavier weight or be as strong as the people that you're training with. Okay, cool. So then we went on to the CYBEX chest supported row. So as you can see here, what I'm really trying to do is keep my hips back and keep my chest forward. So if I was to put my hips forward and lean back, I could stack this and use the gym pin. I've done it before, and yeah, it looks cool, but really I'm just using a hell of a lot of momentum to drive it back, body momentum to drive it back with my torso, when what I'm actually wanting to do is to fatigue the lats. So I'd much rather push my hips back, keep my chest forward, make the exercise harder, and just use a bit less weight. If I can make an exercise a lot harder with less weight, then it makes sense because it's going to be safer, and you've got more room for progression as well. So you know, when it comes to a chest supported row, if you're trying to bias the lats, then keep your hips back and bring your chest forward, don't do the opposite. Then we went on to the pull down, so I'm using a PSP bar, which is very similar to a mag grip bar. Again, I've still got my wraps on it because every pull movement I want my wraps on to make sure that my grip and my forearms aren't going to be a limiting factor in terms of taking my back to failure. But this feels really, really good. With the grip, we're about just about shoulder width apart, which means we can get the elbows nice and tight to the body and still get the lats really short. You know, make sure when you're doing a pull down, you're not really wide, because you're going to struggle to get those elbows directly into your side. So that's why I like a neutral grip, and I like a relatively close grip, so that you can get those elbows tucked right in, and again we can fully shorten the lat. I know a lot of people prefer to do this single arm, so you can sort of line your body up and again get the lat perfectly short, which is a perfect alternative if you want to do that. But obviously we've got that first exercise as the single arm row. In terms of rep ranges and everything and the exercises, I'll make sure that it's all written in the corner anyway. Then we go on to an upper back row. So in terms of exercise sequence, we've hit a lat isolation, then we've hit a sort of full posterior chain compound in the RDL, then we've hit 2 more lat movements, a row and a pull down, and then we're going into more of an upper back, sort of mid upper back movement here. So you can see I'm trying to keep my elbows in line with my upper back really. So I'm not really high where it's going to be like a rear delt, but I'm not low where it's going to be a lat. I'm sort of in between those two, where it's going to be targeting more rhomboid, mid trap, even sort of a little bit of upper lat as well, and there will obviously be some rear delt in there as well. Then we moved on to a cable pullover. So what I'm trying to think here is just a slight amount of elbow flexion, and I'm just trying to focus on dragging my elbows straight down. So I'm trying to keep my arms fixed in their position and just drag the elbows down and just follow that line that the lat works in. Again, you know, whenever I talk about getting the lat short, I'm not saying pull, or you know, it's not about the hand or pulling with the hand, it's about dragging from the elbow. Yeah, so whether it's a row, whether it's a pull down, we're thinking about the elbow and dragging rather than pulling with the hands. You know, you see people on this and they're doing more of like a tricep extension. So yeah, focus on keeping the arms fixed and just dragging down. Then onto a rear delt. So reverse pec deck is what we use for the rear delt movement, which is really nice. It's not as good as the prime one. I really like the prime one at Ultraflex because you can load it in that shortened range, so that it's really, you know, pinches on the rear delts at the back of the movement. But this works pretty well, the CYBEX one. What I'm thinking is, as you can see again, I've got my hips quite far back and I'm leaning forward, and that's to make sure that I'm not retracting my scapula, because the rear delts aren't responsible for scapular retraction. They're responsible for horizontal abduction of the arm. So I'm trying to keep my shoulders forward and just abduct my arms out, or drive my elbows out to the sides of the room. So don't think elbows back and shoulders back, think shoulders forward, elbows out. And then I even added some partials in on that as well. And then we went on to arms, so just 2 bicep movements. Ideally I would do this as a Bravo curl, I call it, so dual D handle. So I'd have a D handle on each cable, and then I'd have the back pad on the Bravo that you can use. So the CYBEX Bravo cables have got a back pad that you can lift up, and then you can use that as a back support, which is what I usually have in, but this woman was on the cable for a long time, so I just had to do single arm. But I still progressed it surprisingly without the added stability of the back pad. So I'm just creating as much stability as I can through my feet against the floor, as well as through my other arm, just holding my body in position. And it actually felt really good. And potentially, if I can't do, you know, both arms in the future, then I'm happy to do that exercise. So, you know, if you have to do an alternative, something like that, you know, just make sure that you log it in and log in how it feels, whether you can still progress it. And luckily I still progress that, so if I need to change it in the future, I can easily go to that movement. And then also the second bicep movement was a rope cable curl. So a little bit more dominant on the forearms, and a little bit more sort of brachial head dominant. So it felt, I quite like this movement, but for me it ends up being a little bit like shruggy and almost like a lateral raise, so I need to focus on that. But to be honest, that's how I'm trying to get my biceps short. And in terms of how my biceps feel afterwards, they feel absolutely battered from it. So yeah, I would recommend doing a bicep movement where you've got a supinated grip and a bicep movement where you've got a neutral grip, just so that you're hitting all areas and your forearms are getting a little bit more a little bit more volume, especially with the fact that we're using wraps on everything, on the big pull movements, which like I say, you need to be doing to fatigue your back accurately. I would recommend that you do some form of either pronated or neutral grip bicep movement, which will incorporate a little bit more forearm. And then finish off with abs. So this ab machine does look very odd, but it's actually really nice. I can focus solely on sort of spinal extension and then spinal flexion and contracting my abs hard every rep. It's actually really good. Just lock out at the arms, keep your knees bent, and just solely think about your abs. Yeah, really nice movement. So that was pull. It was a good session, to be fair. It was a little bit busy in the gym and a little bit of a slow session because there's 3 of us training, which is a bit frustrating. But no, really good session, and progressed the majority of things, or at least maintained on a couple of other things. And the connection on everything was great. Like accuracy wise, everything was really good. In terms of where I'm at, I'll give you a midweek update. I'll put some check-in photos on the screen. So I'm currently hovering between sort of 170 and 172 pounds at the minute. I will likely see into the 160s in the next few days. I reckon even tomorrow morning, to be honest, because I was 170.75 this morning, and last week I had quite a big jump from the Tuesday to the Wednesday, so it's Tuesday today. I reckon I'll see the 160s in the next couple of days, which will be cool, because that'll be the first time in probably as long as I can remember really being that light. Obviously I don't need to solely focus on body weight. I need to think about, you know, making sure that I'm maintaining performance, and the look is the most important thing. So like I say, I'll relay some images and you can see where I'm at. And what, we're 4.5 weeks now, so really not that long, and time's flying by. But yeah, I'll leave the video there, guys. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Any questions on the pull session, please do ask. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. Subscribers seem to be going up quite rapidly at the minute, which is really cool. If we could get to like 1,000 subs pretty soon, that'd be awesome. Videos are also getting a good amount of likes, so appreciate that. Thank you very much. If you could like this one, that'd be great. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.